How are you? It's been a while and I hope that you've been okay. I hope that you're doing your revision in the best way possible that you can. And today I've come with good news. And the good news is that our website is ready. We now have a website which is fully functional. You can access all my contents at that website at a very affordable cost. So for the Form 4s, I got an offer for you. Since you're having 1 month to your exams, you can grab the offer. Click the first link in the description below to get all my contents, including this today's video, and more Kcse predictions. In this video, you're going to learn about the paper 2 poetry, and it's a major examinable area. So Kcse English paper 2 question 3. It's either you'll be tested on a poem or a narrative. Last year there was a narrative, so this year we're expecting a poem, or also it can be a narrative, so you'd better prepare for the both. We have the common terms that are normally used in paper 2 poetry. As you revise for the whole paper, what do you expect? So you should be able to tell, I'm expecting this and this and this, and that is what you're going to cover in this video. Everything that you need to know about paper 2 poetry. So let's get started. We have the terms. First term that you're going to check is the persona. By definition, it is the speaking voice in a poem. The poet chooses the persona depending on the message that they want to teach you as the reader. Let me use these examples from Fathers of Nations. It's about poor governance, it's about corruption. And for the author to bring out the theme of corruption, they have to use a corrupt leader. The same applies to poetry. If a poet wants to teach about corruption, they're going to use a corrupt leader. And if they don't have to do that, they can use an observer who really sees what is happening maybe in the government and can tell all the corrupt nature of those people involved in the government. When you want to identify the persona, there are 3 things that you really need to take into consideration. Number 1, you have to understand the message of the poem. Number 2, understand the situation being described. Number 3, you can check the title, as it might give you a clue on who the persona is. I repeat, the situation is very important again. If a poet wants to talk about infidelity in marriage, they're going to use an unfaithful partner as their persona, or maybe an observer. Number 2, we have the mood. The mood now belongs to you as the reader. What do you feel as you read the poem? You really need to understand the message of the poem for you to get the mood of that specific or that particular poem. When describing the mood, we use the adjectives. Take this instance. If the poem is about suffering, someone is really suffering, how are you gonna feel? Happy or sad? Really, it's going to be sad, or maybe pitiful, or maybe sympathetic. Okay, how about if the poem is about an achievement? Of course, you're going to feel contented, or happy, or jovial. And from the mood, we have the attitude. We said the mood belongs to you as the reader. Now the attitude here belongs to the persona, or the poet, because the poet uses persona to pass his or her message. So this is the feeling that the persona has towards his or her subject, the topic of discussion, the person they are talking about, the thing that they are talking about. What do they feel about them? So how do you know the attitude? The first key thing that you'd want to consider is the choice of words, because sometimes someone might speak. Judging from the word, you tell they're happy, or maybe they're sad, they are regretting, they have resentments, etc. So you'd want to check that. We also use adjectives to describe the attitude. To add on that, the mood, how you as the reader feel, can help you to identify the attitude. The fourth term is the tone. Before we go to our example, because we really need to illustrate these things. The tone. And now the tone is the quality of the voice. Because it's the quality of the voice, it belongs to the persona because the persona is the one who's speaking in the poem. So how do you identify the quality of voice used in a poem? Again, you check the choice of words. Like I said, if I'm happy, judging from my words, you can tell. Or if I'm sad, resenting, etc., you can tell judging from the words that are coming out of my mouth. To illustrate that, we are going to use this, a very short poem. We have lots of poems on the website, so you'll go and check there later. This is the poem. Husband, now you despise me. Now you treat me with spite and say I have inherited the stupidity of my aunt. Son of the chief, now you compare me with rubbish in the rubbish pit. You say you no longer want me because I'm like the things left behind in the deserted homestead. So quickly, let's try to identify the persona. You can play the video back and listen to that poem, but again, you can find it in our website because it's actually ours. So from the poem, who's the persona? Husband, now you despise me. Now you treat me with spite. So we say this is a woman talking. And what woman you have to illustrate? It's a woman who is complaining or who is talking to the husband about his negligence. So that is our persona. Okay. The whole situation, how does it make you feel? By the way, how do you feel? You can have, the mood is actually pitiful. We pity this woman because she is mistreated by the husband, she is abused, and she's not even taken care of the way she'd want to be taken care of, or the way a man should take care of a woman. So the mood, that is the mood. Attitude and tone, they are closely related because they belong to the persona and the poem. So for that matter, we're not going to identify the attitude, we are going to identify the tone, the quality of voice. And we can say the quality of voice is angry, the woman is angry, or lamenting, some sort of complaints. You normally complain when you are angry. So the mood is lamenting or angry, because the persona talks of how the husband despises her, abuses her, and compares her maybe to other people. Actually, nobody loves to be compared to anybody unless they are successful. So that is all about the persona, mood, tone, and the attitude. For more poems, you'll find them at our page. Now, the other terms that we have is paraphrasing. When you're told to paraphrase a poem, what are you supposed to do? And it's one thing. Paraphrase stanza 4. We're supposed to write that stanza in different words without changing the meaning. You know, poems are normally written in metaphorical language, and what we call, they have a connotative meaning, which you're supposed to interpret. So in this case, use other words, but to bring out that meaning. Ordinary language. Write the last stanza in ordinary language. They don't have a big difference. Just you're using a simpler language. So ordinary language and paraphrasing, you can just use different words. Use a much simpler language to express that stanza. Just like that. Comment on the title, or maybe what is the relevance of the title. You're supposed to tell whether the title is significant or not. Does the title match the message that we are having in the poem? Yes, so the title is relevant because the poem is talking about this, and this. Sometimes a poet might decide to use irony or sarcasm to bring out the message in a very funny way. So just say whether the title is relevant or it has been used ironically. As we come to an end, we have these 3 terms that you need to understand. The term subject. And the subject is the topic of discussion. What is the author talking about? It's more general as compared to the theme. In a subject, we might have several themes, just like the way we can say in the Fathers of Nations, the subject is actually poor governance. The book is about poor governance, but in that poor governance, we have something like corruption, abuse of office, we have hypocrisy, we have exploitation, we have betrayal, conflicts. So the subject is the general topic in that poem. We might be talking about colonization in a poem. In colonization, we have hypocrisy, we have exploitation, we have any other theme that can come out of that poem. So that is the subject. The theme is the issues raised from the major topic. I hope you understand that. And finally, we have the subject matter. It's what the poem is about. And this one, you just give much details about the subject. When writing the subject matter, you should write it in form of a summary. Finally, another area that is mostly examinable is the poetic devices. These ones you have to read them, you have to check them, you have so many of them, those styles. The point that I want to make at this specific part, you suppose we have what we call the stylistic, the sound patterns, and most of the people or most of the students normally write them at this point. It's not wrong, but in case you find this poem and you ask to identify the stylistic devices, before you go to the sound patterns, explore the other stylistic devices: personification, metaphor, sarcasm, irony, symbolism, and all the. If you miss the other parts, now you can go to the sound patterns. So to illustrate these points, just click the first link in the description. I already have like 5 poems analyzed with questions and answers. Nothing is difficult, nothing is impossible. You just have to believe in yourself and work smart. So let's catch up later. Bye bye for now.